Hey, good morning, my friends. This is Patrick Allmond. And, I've been on this planet a couple of decades, and I think some of the best advice I've ever received is done is better than perfect. I've got it on coffee cups, I've got it on bracelets. Man, when it comes to marketing or your life, when you knock something out and you make small little steps as far as progress, you're going to get a lot further than that person that is waiting for perfect. And that is probably some of the best advice I've received ever.
Done is better than perfect. Patrick, you've
Yes,
given me
sir.
that advice hundreds of times, my friend, and it always works, right? It always works because the reason that we I think don't the reason we aim for perfect is
Hmm.
imposter syndrome. It is, oh my gosh, it's never going to be just right. And if I don't release it, well, nobody's going to be able to criticize it, or we don't feel worthy, right? What else are you seeing? Because that I know you give that advice a lot, but why else do you see that self-employed people, business owners, why they do that?
I think it's because we see, like you said, the imposter syndrome is a big one. Like we see big names in our world, whether it's in speakers or book writers or thought leaders or people, and we see them and we just think that they have this amazing magical world of tech or of processes or of teams. And we often think that like they wake up in the morning and everything is perfect from that way. And that's how they started. Tony Robbins came out of the womb making $50 million a year and having a
I
perfect team
knew
and get
it.
all the stuff done. That's how he came out of the womb, right? Of course. No, that's not how it happens. As someone who sits on the back end of a lot of speaker teams and a lot of marketing teams, marketing automation, we'll talk about that later. I can tell you, man, that we're doing stuff on the fly. We're patching stuff together. Sometimes it's not perfect, but number one, it brings solutions to the public, which I know you and I are big into, just bringing solutions to the world. And number two, it's enough to help somebody right now. If I have to help somebody with a small problem right now, I can do that right now. That's not a problem. But and over time, though, I can work on helping them with the bigger problem. So if someone's got a cut right now, I can help them with the cut right now. If they've got a broken leg, I've got a solution for that too. But if I know that leg's going to be broken eventually, I can work into that solution. I don't have to have all the answers right now. I just have to have the answers for today in front of me.
I really I dig that, right? I think that it's so important that we think
Matter of fact,
about,
where is it? It's over there. There it
yeah,
is. There it is, right
yeah,
there. It's always behind me, behind my live stream.
done is better than perfect. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go, right? So, and I think your points are super important there. Nobody started out with perfection. If we think back, Patrick, we've been friends, what, 10, 15 years now, long time. We
Yep.
think back to how our websites were, how marketing automation was. 15 years ago, I mean, marketing automation, honestly, it was autoresponders, right?
Right.
We'd set up an auto or a listserv long time
Oh,
ago, right?
remember
We'd have
those?
a
Yeah.
listserv or and now it's automated chatbots and other stuff. But really, nothing, even today, nothing is perfect, but it just needs to get done, right? And I think that's a good frame for us to bounce on today about
Yep.
being done with some of this marketing automation stuff. And I'll tell you, Patrick, you and I've told you this before. You're not surprised. You shouldn't be surprised by this, right? But you're one of the only guys that I trust when it comes to this
Well,
stuff. You're
thank
one of the
you.
only people that that if I've got a question, I'm going to
Hmm.
trust enough A that I know you know the tech, but B, and what we're going to talk about today most importantly is the mindset and the important stuff, right? That as as a self-employed person, as a smaller business owner, folks don't want to automate
Hmm.
everything because the human touch does make that is often our secret weapon,
Right.
but we still have to let go of some. So let's talk about that, Patrick. Do you get
Mhm.
pushback from people like me, like you, who say, you know what, I don't know, marketing automation just feels kind of sleazy?
Um, Sometimes I think it just depends on how I, reference it. As much as I'm a tech geek, and I mean, when I say I'm a tech geek, I'm not kidding. Like everything around me in my house is either controlled by Q, like my thermostat is automated, my lights are automated. Uh, the Alexa is listening like in four corners of my house. I mean, I'm a guy who just loves technology, and I think that there's a really good technological solution for a lot of our issues in life. However, I do realize that it doesn't handle everything. At some point in time, you have to get a human involved. So yeah, I do get some pushback, but for the most part, the really smart people in the world of marketing automation know the right and the wrong places to do it. So for example, like I'm really big into like email automation and SMS automation and nurturing the lead until it's time to get on the phone with them. When even now, even I sometimes get a little bit iffy when it comes to things like chatbots, automating conversations, because a conversation is a hard thing to automate. If Phil says, Patrick, how are you doing today? And I reply, fine. Well, you know what? A bot at that particular point doesn't really know how to respond. Phil would know how to respond. Fine, as in you're feeling okay, Patrick. Fine, as in you've had your coffee. Fine, as in your personal life's okay. So even I have to push back a little bit on like some of the bot automation that we do. But again, the good, really tech person and marketing automation person knows the right and the wrong places to slip in that automation.
Okay, so there's a right and a wrong way, right and a wrong place. So
Mhm.
let's start that out, right? So
Okay.
here we go. I've got a website. Yay! That's good, right? So if you're listening, you got to have a website. That's you got to have a home
Number one.
base.
Right.
And we could talk about that all day, but we're not, right? Just accept if you're listening to this and you don't have a website, start with zero. Go get a darn website. Okay, you want a home base.
Even if
But
it's one single page, because
right,
why?
yes.
Because that's
Yeah.
why right there. Done is
Done
better
is
than
better than
perfect.
perfect. That's right. Yep. So that's funny. Yeah. And so I'll be launching a new website soon. And to your point, right? I'm going to get done. But what do I want to get done, right? So
Mhm.
first, the intake, if you will, right? The first thing that people can interact with me on will be, hey, here's something of value for you. Here's a guide that's going to help you. And I haven't decided exactly which guide I'm going to provide, but here's a guide
Mhm.
that's going to help you. I don't want to have to send those emails one by one. I don't want to confirm that one by one. So the first automation that I'm going to do is you give me your email, I deliver something via email, right? That's good
Right.
automation, that's bad automation.
No, that's good automation, and that's like in my world, that's like automation 101, and that is a function that's been around for decades. Autoresponders. You give me some of your information, I'll give you something of value back. People don't even realize it, but that's kind of the entire basis for even social media. We give them a little bit of piece of information, and they give us some value back, the connection value and things like that. But yeah, that's like marketing automation 101. Whether it's a text message back or an email back. Um, that's the response when it comes to someone filling out a very simple form on your website. So number one, of course, you're going to do that.
Good. So we automate that. Fantastic. So now what? Do I connect that to a CRM? Do I connect that to my email system? Yes,
Mhm.
and what else should I be thinking about there, Patrick, after I deliver that first piece of value?
Got it. So when I'm thinking about someone who has or wants to start like an email autoresponder, I often think in terms of how can I determine how interested that person
Hmm.
is? Because if someone comes to Phil's website and they fill out a very basic form, giving us their email address and or their phone number, I would highly encourage phone number for SMSs. Um, typically people respond and then they're on the email list and that's done. Yes, it should 100% go into a CRM. It should, I don't think any email programs are just emailing newsletters anymore. Maybe they are. I don't know. But then at that point, I try to figure out how interested this person is. If I give this person a second thing and a third thing and a fourth thing, are they clicking? I don't rely on opens, but are they clicking? If Phil sends me back three things or four things and I click and open every single one, that means I'm highly interested in whatever Phil is providing to me as a solution, whatever pain Phil is choosing to solve. I am highly interested in that. If Phil sends me an email newsletter, the very first one, excuse me, the very first piece of value, and I don't click on anything, and I don't click on the second, and I don't click on the third, then it shows I was a spam bot or I wasn't interested. I was just filling out forms one day because you get those people on your website also. But a big part of that is just and any good CRM these days is scoring people. Maybe every single time someone clicks on that, you give them plus 5 points, and the person has plus 20 points at the end of the email series is a lot more valuable and probably has a lot better chance of becoming a paying client than the person who has 0 points after a couple of weeks.
So let me back into that here. You talk
Okay.
about lead scoring, which I think is great, right? Points for click, points to determine interest, right? Obviously, if you have a 5 email series, 4 email series, it's 5 points per click. And I say that because you want to have some sort of, I might argue 1 point for open, 5 points for click. No, because I want to make sure it gets delivered. I want to be clear,
Right.
right?
Right.
I want to determine delivery, right?
It's a
But that
good
isn't
point. Right.
perfect, right? I want to determine delivery. If it isn't delivered,
It's not
then you can't
perfect, but
open.
what is it? It's not perfect,
It's
but what
done,
is it?
baby. It's done, right? So let's go back there, right? So yeah,
Okay.
done always better than perfect, right? But so okay, so email, SMS, and phone, and SMS and
Right.
phone might be same, might not, right? But determine interest, lead score. Now, Patrick, what happens if they didn't open any? Do we just assume that they suck, or do we touch them personally, or what do you recommend here? Because that's the question, that I see sometimes is, hey, they filled
Right.
out the form, man. Don't I just keep them on the list? But I don't think we do. What else do we do? What should we do?
They're not okay. Different schools of thought here. The Patrick, because I am Patrick, and I can only give Patrick's opinion. The Patrick school of thought here is we kind of dump them, and dump is a bad word. We kind of move them over to like a default bucket, and maybe we still send them like something weekly or something like that. Maybe they were having deliverability issues. Maybe somehow we ended up in spam and they haven't checked it yet. Maybe they're on vacation. Maybe we sent them 4 emails in 4 days and they're on vacation. They haven't checked anything. Maybe move them over to like a slower nurture process where we send them like an email newsletter weekly or a nurture process weekly, something where we don't totally discount them yet. And then we decide a time frame as to when we do totally discount them. If someone doesn't open something in a week and then maybe they go a month or 60 days without opening something, then you know what? That person's probably a lost cause. So maybe we actually want to get them, we don't want to email them anymore. And that's big in my world of email marketing automation tools is you don't want to email people that aren't opening and that aren't clicking. It's bad for them, it's bad for you, and it's bad for the world of spam. And so yeah, the people oftentimes if they don't interact immediately, put them on a newsletter list, and then we'll just send them out some generic content every week, and hopefully some point in time they will engage, they will click, and we can start giving them some points.
Okay. Okay. All right. I like that. I like to slow the nurture. I like to actually hop out of the sequence and
Hmm.
pick up the phone or send a personal email. Hey
Very
Patrick, you
smart.
download, right? Because for me, I like speed, right? Speed is important. Speed to lead wins. My lead score, right? If they give me a phone, especially if they give me a phone number,
Right.
I'm gonna jump out and pick up the phone and say, Patrick, what's up, man? Hey, buddy, I see you didn't, you signed up for my ebook, but you didn't download it.
Right.
And so I want to speed that up. I think that's good. But I like the lead scoring. I think the reminder that we speed, then we slow, and then we stop, right? We speed, slow, stop. Because at first, nobody is going to be more interested than the first time they interact with your
They're
stuff.
hot
So do we make
prospect.
them,
Yeah.
right? They're hot right now.
Yeah.
So do I make them an offer? Do I try to convert them to sale? What do do I offer, hey, sign up for a free conversation?
Mhm.
What do I do here? How do I move that to business instead of just market them?
I received some really good advice several years ago. Several years ago, like I got out of the world of tech and I went over to be a Remax realtor, and I was doing all my training for 2 months. And my broker's name was Victoria Caldwell. I just remember that. And Victoria Caldwell said, "You don't ever go into any real estate transaction to buy or sell a house. You go into every real estate transaction to make a friend first, and then at some point in time, you might help your friend buy or sell something." But in the interest of a good long-term relationship, you want to build the relationship first. And maybe they have no need for your services at all, and you're a good referral. Maybe if someone comes to me and they're like, Patrick, I saw your lead on your website, and I wasn't that thing didn't interest me, but I'm looking for a guy to help me with my LinkedIn marketing. Well, there's nothing in my repertoire that I can do that can offer LinkedIn marketing, but I can tell you sure as heck that I've got a referral for them for my good friend in Orlando, Florida, with the wild sunglasses and the wild socks. So I would say, oh, you know what? I've got a guy for that. Where go talk to my friend Phil G in Orlando, Florida, and then I will basically still keep a friend, but I will give them the referral and the solution they're working for. So yes, always friends first, and then you'll get to business.
Yeah, I think that's so important because I've talked to many people who want speed, and then if it doesn't close, they want to ignore, right? You use
Mhm.
the word dump, right, as meaning, no, hold on, but you said the word dump
Right,
meaning to move. Many
right.
people, the word dump they use to break up with. And so I think
Oh,
it's
okay.
important that we talk about that, right? Because
Mhm.
here's the thing, right? we're just moving them to a different bucket, if you
Right.
will, of friendship. That if we look at it that way, it's much more positive and much less just opportunistic. Buy with me now, or
Right.
piss off, right? I don't want that, but I do want, right? I do want to keep in touch. I do want to stay friends, and I think one of the ways that we do that, of course, right,
Hmm.
is email, SMS marketing, social media, telephone, or whatever. So what are as we're going to do that, and I think that's a great, those three steps: form, deliver value, determine interest, and then next step, I think is a
Right.
just great simple three-step process. So let's
Hmm.
talk a little bit of tools here, Patrick, because
Okay.
you like me, right? We're nerds here. So
Yeah.
what are you using now? And maybe it's just one tool, but
Right.
what are you using now for email and SMS?
For email and SMS, if it just it's one of those things where I get a lot of people asking me for recommendations in this area, probably every single day, and I have a couple of different solutions depending on the business model. You and I deal with a lot of speakers, and speakers are interested oftentimes in speaking gigs, and we're talking, relationships that are worth thousands upon thousands of dollars. That kind of relationship is different than me pushing someone to buy my $97 course. So, in the world of marketing automation, when the entire process can really actually be automated and I can push someone to buy something without any human interaction, I'm a big fan of the marketing automation CRMs like Ontraport, Infusionsoft. Those are two really big ones in my industry. I don't have a lot of experience with Active Campaign, but I hear people rave about it. So these are all good options here. Anything that's on that level. If you go and search for marketing automation CRMs, these are the ones that I know the big guys use, the Tony Robbins of the world and the Frank Kerns. These are ones I know these guys use because I have discussions with them about it. And so those are the big ones there. Now, if the relationship requires more of the hand holding, the one-on-one, the friendly approach, the goal is to get them on the phone as soon as possible, then I lean more towards something like a Pipe Drive or a HubSpot right there. And to tell you the truth, I actually use multiple tools because I have multiple business models. Right now, I have leads, in HubSpot that I'm going to talk to today after we done making the show right here. And that's how because I know those leads are worth. I'm not going to close someone on a $3 or $4 or $5,000 deal by sending them an email hoping they click, 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 click. That's not going to happen. I've got to get on the phone and touch of them as they talk about in Rocky Horror Picture Show. So we've got that going on. But yeah, if you're selling, if you want to sell the $47 items and $97 items, even maybe up to, I mean, my limit, I guess, right there is once you get to about $497 or definitely $997. In my opinion, the higher price points you get, that's a bigger commitment, the more they're going to want to know there's a real human behind there. So, and definitely at the higher price point, if you're going to try to sell something for $5,000, you are not going to do that with here's a form, fill out your credit card, give me $5,000. So those are the kind of the tools I recommend: the Pipe Drives and the HubSpots for tracking, personal relationships and making sure you keep that relationship fresh. And then again, more on the Ontraport side or the Infusionsoft side, is you can have like a long nurture sequence or a long marketing automation sequence. Those are my tools that I'm recommending these days.
Cool. I dig that. I think it's important to hear, though, that we have two different tools because we have two different purposes. And so many are looking for a silver bullet, right? Whoa, one tool to rule them all. And I'll tell you, that has gone wrong for me. So many. I mean, I just recently failed on another attempt at a silver. I'm not doing this again, right? I tell you, this is my last attempt at a
Mhm.
silver bullet because I don't need. I think I get stuck in the, oh my gosh, let's go all the way overboard. When in reality, to your point, Patrick, I don't have any courses right now. I need to
Mhm.
focus on the relationship side and having friendly conversations. Jeffrey Shaw in the Self-Employed Life, he calls it hug marketing as opposed to marketing automation, right? I want to get you
Got it.
close enough I can give you a hug that you're not going to be uncomfortable if I see you in person.
Right.
That's Phil
That's a
paraphrase
very, that's
what
a very,
Jeffrey
that's a very good
says.
way of putting it right there. Yeah. Hug marketing, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
As opposed to huge marketing. That's Fusillo from Fusillo Kia here in Tampa, right? So Anyway, yeah. So good. Okay. So we do that. So and does um do HubSpot and Pipedrive have SMS integration, or is that that's something only in the bigger ones?
I think they have third-party SMS integration.
Okay.
I use Just Call for all my inbound and outbound phone marketing and inbound and outbound marketing SMS. So I think both of them talk to Just Call. So when someone calls my main number and the admin office answers it, or when I call out, all that stuff is logged in there. And again, that's kind of a very important thing. The Infusionsofts and the HubSpots of the world aren't big on like one-on-one SMSs. You can log phone calls in there, but it's not easy and it's not automated. Whereas if I were to pick up the phone right now and call you, your number I think is in my CRM someplace. When I got done, I could go over to HubSpot and say, "Oh, conversation with Phil, 5 minutes 23 seconds on Thursday, May 27th at 8:56. Here's a recording of the phone call." It just appears in the CRM, which is again really good for those one-on-one relationships, because let's say Phil's business, or let's say I have a business partner and they're going to go in the marketing automate, they're going to go in my CRM later and say, "Oh, I got to pick up on this conversation that Patrick was having with Phil. What did they talk about before?" All of Patrick's and Phil's SMS relationships and phone calls would be in there historically, where again that doesn't really appear easily in the HubSpots and the excuse me in the Infusionsofts and the Entreports of the world. So again, it's almost like either CRM can do same things the other ones can do, but it's just, where is it easier? Where is it easier? For example, like I'm getting really big on charting these days and goal setting and financial projections, and those are things that don't work well in Infusionsoft of the world or the Entreports. But Pipedrive has this thing where you can basically set, you have a goal number of calls every week or a goal revenue amount every single week, and it draws the charts that shows you where you are. And nothing kind of inspires me more than to draw a chart that says you should be here and you're only 30% of the way here. Well, maybe I shouldn't screw around today. Maybe I should get off my butt and go get some work done. So again, it's like you said, tool choice is hard. And the deeper you get into it and the more you know about it, for tech guys like you and I, the more you know about tools, you think the decision would get easier. No, it doesn't. Sometimes it gets harder. I curse all this technology. I have sometimes. There are times, rare moments of weakness, where I wish I wasn't a geek or a nerd. I wish I didn't know HTML. I wish I didn't know how to drop, code inside the header of a web page. Please, someone take this knowledge out of my head. When I was a teenager, I should have been out dating and skateboarding, not playing with computers. Okay, it helps me. It helps. Okay, I take that back. Never mind. I love it because it helps me pay the bills. Helps me buy cool signs, or it helps me buy cool signs and cool microphones. But sometimes I wish I could think at that higher level without knowing the tools. But yeah, just it's oftentimes when you and I are doing tool analysis, we basically just, you have to take in as much information about the person and what they want, what their long-term goals are, and then that's usually when I recommend a tool, and the recommendation is not always the same.
Yeah, for sure. You have to understand first, what are you trying to accomplish? Secondly, how technical, or willing to be technical, I should say, even more than
Mhm.
technical, is the other person? And third, what is the MVP, right? What's the minimum viable product that you want out there? Because if you don't understand those three things, you're always going to look for the perfect tool, for the silver bullet, and you're going to get stuck. And
Right.
I'll tell you, that's stuck me before. That's why I like to talk to you, right? You often get me unstuck. You get me out of my way. You always remind me that done is better than perfect. And so that gets me the hell out of my own way, which is
Right.
really, really good, right?
Right. And I know over the years I've given you recommendations on tools, and my recommendations have changed. If you ask me, 6, 8, 12 months down the line, I'm like, "Well, Phil, yeah, I did really recommend ClickFunnels and this other thing, but not so much these days." Number one, I found some faults with it. And number two, and this is another factor that determines tool recommendation, is how good is the support behind the scenes, and how often are they adding features? If I can't get a hold of somebody easily and they're not adding features often, I don't care how good they are right now. If I can't get a hold of support, for example, I'll give you an example. Entreport is really good on live chat support. Like, I know when I pop up their live chat support, I can get usually someone in 2 or 3 minutes. It's a real person. It's a competent person. It's not like a level one help desk person like you get sometimes. That person is usually pretty technically competent. That's one of the reasons I love Entreport, is because they have really good support and they're adding features all the time. And the CEO is personally involved in the community. I mean, that's why I recommend them for those particular features.
Yeah, the support community is a big one. I think folks miss out on that. Now, it is possible that their support might be bad, but you might have someone that you rely on, like Patrick or me, that can help bridge that gap. But the
Right.
features gap, not just are they adding features to add features, but are they adding features that are meaningful to you? As you look back, what have
Hmm.
they done? Like, where were they? I would tell you, perfect example. MailChimp started out as the simplest email marketing system ever. And now they are almost a marketing automation player. It's
They're
really
getting there. Yeah.
interesting how that's changed. So if I started out with MailChimp, and now, of course, we see a lot of our speakers, brothers and sisters, whining about, oh, MailChimp is now expensive. Well, that's
Hmm.
because you all wanted it to do more and more and more. You didn't want just a simple MailChimp. So what's funny is MailerLite comes in and says, oh, hey, we're 5 years ago MailChimp. Come with us. And now you can work with us. And it's so interesting that our recommendations have had to change over time
Hmm.
because the solution changes over time. I really
Right.
think that's a good example. So, okay, Patrick, so let's talk a little bit here about messaging and
Okay.
about the automated messaging part of this, because one of the things that creeps me out, I shouldn't say creeps me out, it gets on my nerves because it isn't creepy, it's actually
Right.
annoying, and that is the assumptions that so many of these people make. They never determine interest, they just assume that I have interest, and they come at me that way, and they never take me off the I'm going to send Phil an email every day that
Hmm.
he never opens. So talk to me about how do we balance with the messaging the hey, you're my friend Patrick, and hey, I want you to buy my stuff, and
Yeah.
hey, I want you to become my friend.
So, what again in the perfect client world, if I came to a client that had nothing at all and I was able to give them a tool recommendation and a marketing strategy recommendation, oftentimes what I would do is in the front end, in the lead generation world, I would have a couple of different offers for the person to gauge their interest. um, I like to kind of take the work that we do as solution providers and flip it around in terms of what pain points people are having. And again, if you haven't been able told yet that, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. I heard him say once that we go looking for solutions for things to give us pleasure or to help us avoid pain. Um, I like to have, I offer two or three different services and I like to express those in pain points. And then maybe that is what turns around into your lead generation. Maybe
Mm.
someone comes to me from a marketing automation solution, or someone comes to me for speaker coaching, or someone comes to me for team training. Those are three different kind of lead generation options I can have out there. And then my nurture sequence can take place, based on that. Because somebody wants, if someone wants Patrick as a speaker in Costa Rica, that's a totally different thread than someone that wants marketing automation training for their entire team. So your email thread should match appropriately. So that's how you do it on the front end. And then I would say, if you're going to be the kind of person who you have multiple solutions, but you kind of want to start with the same front end for all of them in the world of lead gen, then what you can do is in the back end of your system, when you send people emails, give them the choice of clicking on things for them to express their pain point, and then automate from there. So, one of Phil's first or second emails may be, by the way, did you know that you can hire Phil to speak to your team? Maybe make speak to your team a link. You can hire Phil for team training. Maybe make team training a link, or you can hire Phil to come and scrub your floors. Make scrub your floors a link. Once in these marketing automation tools, once someone clicks on that, we can tag them and then market them appropriately. And if someone clicks on the speak, come to Costa Rica to speak link, Phil's going to get all the bells and whistles are going to go off in Phil's office, and Phil's going to know that that person is interested in that, and that's something that, like you said, you're going to pick up the phone and call someone and get involved with. That's a urgent, hot lead, somebody that wants to pay you for speaking right there. So that's how you can do it in the back end. That's why it's called marketing automation, is because you can fork and you can make decisions based on the people, based on the path that people take. What were those books called where you like read the book,
Choose your
Phil?
own adventure.
Yeah, like if you would go in the cave, go to page 25. If you would run the heck away from the cave, go to page 62 right there. And so that's what good marketing automation is a choose your own adventure. And you can just choose your path based on what you click on. And that's how you control the adventure in our world. It's the click. The click governs everything, Phil.
I love that. Good marketing automation is like a choose your own adventure book.
Hmm.
I think that's so important, right? Because here's what is the challenge that I hear all the time. Patrick, how do I know? Phil, how do I know? Right? They don't say Patrick to me. They usually say that to you. But, right, so how do I know? And that's a super, yeah. Hey, I'm not
No,
talking to
there's a
Alexa here.
no, Ryan Levesque. Back there on my bookshelf, I've got the
Yeah,
Ryan
ask.
Levesque. Ask. It's back over there,
Ask.
Phil.
That's right. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Ask and then respond. I think
Hmm.
that's the miss, right? What do I do with that? So
Right.
really, really good advice there, Patrick. I dig that. If you're listening, folks, you're watching and you're thinking, well, they didn't give me a one size fits all answer here. How do I make marketing automation less creepy? We did, though. We just did. And that is make it a choose your own adventure and then respond based on the click. So, whatever that is, do that. I would also say find your own voice. The way that Patrick and I talk is very different than the way that you talk to your customers. And that's okay. That's
Right.
where, I often get challenged by, and this happens to me personally, where people say, well, I want somebody just to write this for me. Well, do you really want the relationship with your customers to be with your
Hmm.
copywriter, or do you want it to be with you?
Right.
And so, so for me, as I'm working to reposition this, as I'm working to redo this, I have to really think about like how would I say that, right? So I
Right.
want to build out my 3, 5, 7 steps. You gave a lot of great tips here, right? Help them
Right.
choose their own adventure, set them up, speed them up and then slow them down. Really good. And number one, right, determine if they're interested
Right.
with a click. Really, really good, Patrick. So I know that you would say done is better than perfect. And this has been far from a perfect conversation, but it's been really good. And as we kind of wrap this,
Hmm.
tell me, Patrick, how do we get started? The first step that we should take here in this marketing automation journey so we don't feel scummy, so we feel like, I did something of value that is going to give value to the people that I want to do
Hmm.
business with. How do we get started?
I would say the first good the first good way to get started, excuse me, with tech is to use a non-tech way to map it out. There's nothing wrong with using something like a Lucid's charting program or a dry erase board or a pen and paper to kind of map out what your customer journey looks like. Very few people do that. Very few people start with, first of all, here's my avatar, right? Here is my ideal customer. Her name is Mary. Mary is 34. Mary is married. Mary has 2 kids. Mary's a career woman. Mary has a dog. Mary likes this, this, and this, and this. Mary doesn't like this, this, and this, and this. Okay, how do I get Mary down the ideal path to make a buying decision and just map it out? Mary's interested in this. Mary's not. Mary, and you map all that out. Very much like we used to map, software programs back in the day, back in the 70s, 80s. So sit down with a non-technical, a non-online way and map out your customer journey. And then if you don't do that, then buying a marketing automation package is really going to screw you up. And I think you and I have probably said this before, is if you don't know what you're doing, if you buy a big hammer and you don't know what you're doing, man, everything is a nail. And so buy a good, set out in a non-technical way, map it out, and then from there you can kind of figure out, how do you solve this using a technical tool.
Yeah, mapping it out in a non-technical way. I love that. That's a great way to start. Identify who your ideal customer is, the
Hmm.
ideal person you want to work with, the ideal person you want to serve, whatever you want to call it to get your brain right. Find out the characteristics. I love that you named your ideal person. I think that's important because then when you're making decisions, you might have a couple. So you might have
Right.
Mary and Steve and Gino. 3 people that you might want to do business with,
Yo,
and then
Gino from the
hey,
Northeast. Gino,
yeah,
hey.
he's a sales bro. What can I say, right? Sometimes sales bros want to work with me, whatever, right?
Right.
But we got that, and then we map out that possible ideal path, and then remember, and you said this, but you didn't say it explicitly, and
Okay.
that is make an offer.
Right.
Like, offer to do business with them. This is
At some
important, right?
point.
A lot
Yep.
of, people don't magically know that they can do business with you. And you'd say, well, of course they do. Why else would I pay for marketing automation? Why else?
Yep.
No, they don't. Guilty. Make some stinking offers, right? Make different offers, not always the same offer, but an
Right.
offer could be click to go to my website, could be click
Right.
to get more information, could be also hire me to speak, hire me to train, hire me to coach, buy my book, buy my course, other things too, but mix them up. Do make some offers, determine interest, really great stuff. So Patrick, if people want
Mhm.
to get more of your awesome sauce, where
Uh-huh.
do they get more from you?
All over social media, you're gonna find me Patrick Allmond, just like it says on the screen right there. It's not actually the Patrick Allmond. I kind of got sarcastic this morning, but just Patrick Allmond on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's not hard to find me. And then over at the website, stopdoingnothing.com, patrickallmond.com. I own all the important Patrick Allmond domains. But yeah, just hop over with me, join us out of a conversation, tweet me. Heck, you can even text me. I don't even care. 405-217-4752. That's my
What's
business
that number
number.
again?
405-217-4752. And if you call me or text me, it goes to every single one of my devices. If you call me, someone's going to answer the front office and kind of route you to me. If it's right, I have no problem with talking to people. I love talking to people. There we go. Oh, look at that, man. Feels fancy right there. Yeah. So just come talk to me online, tweet me, DM me. Let's see if we're a good fit at all. And if you just want me any kind of recommendations, especially when it comes to tech stuff, I've got a lot of tech knowledge in my head that I wish I could get out. I'll gladly give you a tech recommendation if it's not in my wheelhouse, because 95% of the stuff in the world is not in my wheelhouse. But if we hit on that 5%, we can be good friends.
Awesome. Love that, Patrick. Always enjoy spending time with you. Remember, folks, done is better than perfect. Map it out. Don't have to be technical before you go technical. Really important. And if you got questions, you got feedback, hit Patrick with a text, 405
Or Phil.
217
Yeah.
4752. Yeah, or certainly, yeah, hit me as well, of course, right? But get to know my friend Patrick Allman. He's super smart about all this stuff. I learn from him every day, and I'm grateful that we're friends. Patrick, thanks for your time this morning, brother. It's great to see you.
Thank you. I can't wait for us to do this in person sometime. I got to make it to the
I
West Coast
know.
or the East Coast where it's nice and warm, man.
Whoop, whoop. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. Thanks, buddy.